All right. What is everyone? We are here live at the big event. And this is Smoke and Meteoras special edition live from the big event. And I am joined by none other than the Dynamite doll. How are you doing today?
Doing amazing. Thank you so much for setting these up.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll just move right on in.
Let's do it.
So, growing up as the daughter of Dynamite Kid, what were your earliest memories of wrestling, or just when you realized he wasn't just a wrestler, he was more of a legend in the sport?
So growing up, I was always backstage at wrestling shows. So I would be in the locker room with Miss Elizabeth, Macho Man Randy Savage. People like the Ultimate Warrior stayed over at my house.
Wow.
So just being a little girl, watching my Saturday morning cartoons, down the stairs, friends, Ultimate Warrior. So that was just my life. I didn't know any different. And everywhere I went, there was a wrestling ring. And also in the Hart family growing up. So my mom's sister married Bret Hart. So there was always a wrestling ring wherever we were at the Hart house. My backyard, we had a wrestling ring. So my earliest memories of like finding out how big of a star he was.
Yeah.
Was I was a little bit older once the internet was around.
Yep.
So I didn't really know. I was so young, but once the internet was a big thing, I was like, oh wow, my dad's a big deal.
Yeah. So what's something about your dad that wrestling fans think they know, but they get completely wrong?
I would say the word bully gets thrown around a lot, especially by people like Jacques Rougeau, like to call the Bulldogs bullies. But what they don't understand is the British humor. In England, they call it British banter. So they're very sarcastic. They like to, play jokes on each other. And also that back then in the 80s, that was just kind of the locker room culture, pulling ribs on each other as they call it. So
Pulling ribs and pranks left and right.
exactly. So that's what I would say.
So did you ever feel pressure to get involved in wrestling because of your last name?
I would say the pressure came from myself more than anything. People are always more than happy to talk to me about my dad in the locker room or fans, wherever it may be. But I put the pressure on myself. I am a wrestling manager. I've been involved for 13 years. And everyone is always super cool, welcoming, always willing to give me advice, about wrestling or the business. But the pressure came from myself because I felt like I had to be a certain way, or I thought, because I'm not actually a wrestler, people don't care. But I just had to kind of figure out my own path and what that means and just own it.
So what part of his legacy are you the most proud of?
I would say, of course, his library of wrestling that you can watch on YouTube. It's all out there. Amazing athlete. But with all that, how great he is, I would say how humble he remained.
Yeah.
That's what I'm most proud of, and I've instilled that in myself, is to always be humble. And it's just a very appealing quality.
Oh, absolutely. So when people meet you, what's the biggest misconception they have about you?
I think that when I tell people like, I get nervous, this is my fourth convention out. I don't think I'm nervous doing conventions, but wrestling shows when I'm managing, I still get nervous. I still get butterflies. And people are like, you get nervous? Like, yeah, I do. Like, but you seem so confident. And you seem so, and I think it's good to get nervous, of course, because that means you care. But that always shocks people for some reason. Like, you know what? I have self-esteem issues just like everyone else does. That's what makes me human. But yeah, I would say that.
Okay. So do you see yourself eventually stepping into a ring to become a wrestler, or are you happy with where you're at?
I'm happy where I'm at. I'm already, I'm 41 years old. I have 2 daughters.
Dad, look at
Thank you so much. So, and people are telling me recently, it doesn't matter. Age doesn't matter. You can still start training today if you want. My dad, of course, he did end up in a wheelchair from wrestling. So I think that's why I chose the managing route, because I saw the toll it took on his body. I absolutely envy everyone that gets in there and gives it their all, takes care of each other, and is able to do that. But I just found my place, and that's managing. And even more than that, now I'm traveling with conventions and keeping my dad's legacy alive. And I have a podcast as well. So I'm finding my own way, and it doesn't have to be
in the ring, exactly. Yeah, no,
I feel involved in this.
Yeah. So I was kind of the same way. I have scoliosis, So if I were to take a bump or something the wrong way, I could paralyze myself.
Exactly.
But I knew from a very young age that I wanted to be involved somehow, and I went through several different avenues to find where I'm at today. And this is what we stuck with.
There
So,
you go, right?
but-
You have your involvement and people appreciate it because you're putting out product and their name out there.
exactly. So, what is something fans don't realize about the life around independent wrestling?
I would say probably, I mean, they should realize watching matches that the toll it takes on your body,
Yeah,
but how much time they're investing for the training, for the gym, for traveling long hours to get to those shows. Not only traveling, but the setup time, the takedown time. Because I think how much time you're really putting in for 3 hours for one show because they're so dedicated.
so who are some of the wrestlers around today that you think remind you of the intensity of your father?
For me, it's Will Ospreay.
Will Ospreay.
Yeah, he's the one. He's the only one that I can pick out, and I'm like, wow. Like I love watching him, and he has that British style.
The charisma, everything.
Yeah.
So you've been pushing for your father to get his flowers. He was inducted with the British Bulldogs back in 2020, but you want him to go for himself. What made you start advocating for that?
So they actually weren't inducted. Only Davey was inducted.
Oh, I thought it was the British Bulldogs.
Nope.
Did I research?
No, that's okay. I've done it too. Sometimes sometimes things are listed wrong.
I blame Google.
Yeah, I know. I've had the same thing happen. But yeah, I would absolutely love to have both of them in there. But right now, I'm focusing on solo.
Absolutely.
So, but both need to happen because they made such an incredible part of the tag team industry.
But even your father as a singles, why advocate for him?
Why? Because he was the best. He's the best, hands down, professional wrestler to walk this planet. Just plain and simple.
So if he were inducted, who would you want to be the one to give the speech?
Me.
You?
Yes, me. I would love to, in a perfect world, I would love Brent to do like the introduction, and then it would be me and my mom.
That would be
My dad just like, I should also say, not only was he the best wrestler in the world, but so many people have had their style on his style. So he's influenced the business hugely. And I'm talking, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Because he's still making a difference today. You see his style everywhere.
Yeah.
In AEW, WWE, independent wrestling, everywhere.
And it kind of was like revolutionary in a sort.
Yes.
So-
Innovator.
So with your time in the business under your own name, what would you like your legacy to be when you leave the world? Well, not the world, but the wrestling world.
I'm not leaving anytime soon.
No. Gosh.
My legacy, I think, perseverance, never giving up. The same way I am pushing to get my father to a Hall of Fame, the same way he persevered through all his hard training. His training in England in the Wigan Snake Pit, and he came to Canada, trained in the dungeon with the Hart family. Like that took perseverance, only the toughest survived. And I think that he instilled that in me, and that I'm not going to give up until he gets to where he needs to be. So just never giving up, believing in yourself, and figuring out your own path. And it doesn't have to be someone else's
Definitely.
path, the way that other people laid it out. You just create your own, what makes sense for you.
That is everything that I had for you. So thank you so much.
So fun, guys. So welcome.
And thank you to everybody viewing back at home. That is it for us live here at Big Event, and we will be back on a Wednesday with Johnny Pierce. Have a great night, guys. I'm so used to doing it so much later in the day. I'm like, have a good night.
Yeah.